Okay, so you saw the title, right? I'm gonna ask you just this. Hear me out first before you start typing angry fucking comments and blah blah yada yada. Hear me out first, okay? Thank you. So, the Sigma male, the fucking literally me's of the world. Where do they come from? You know, because they came up on the internet from seemingly nowhere, and you know it's a couple of years now. Everyone talks about, well, everyone knows what the fuck the Sigma male is, the alpha male, the Ryan Gosling, literally me types, you know. But where do they come from? You know, like, what made them be the way they are? It's feminism. Let's talk gender roles. Gender roles, you know, the fucking traditional nuclear family, you know, the man of the house, the housewife, you know what I'm talking about. It's, you know, that kind of old, well, it's old right now, but that kind of like a older idea that, you know, that the man's gotta be like the fucking provider for the wife and the children and the house, you know. It's gotta be like, oh yeah, the man of the house and all that bullshit, you know. And that the woman needs to be subservient and submissive, you know, essentially gotta do what her husband tells her to do when her function is just like take care of the house and take care of the kids and the yada yada yada, you know, this kind of stuff. This has been the prevalent way of family organization, at least in the Western world, you know, but it's kind of like you can see that kind of stuff in every society you go. You know, in the United States you had the baby boomers with the white picket fences scrap and so on. You know, you have that kind of stuff in Europe. How, for example, in the Muslim world, you know, the man can have like a lot of wives, and the man is usually seen as the leader of the family and so forth. You know, I mean, there's all the kinds of laws and stuff where, you know, a woman can't like drive by herself or go out of the house by herself and all that bullshit. You know? So this is what we would call the traditional gender roles, you know. Man on top, ruling over the family and the life and providing for the family, and woman on the bottom, you know, obeying the husband and taking care of the kids and etc. etc. It isn't really clear how this kind of stuff came to be. Since it's so prevalent in so many cultures, you can't really point to one and say, hey, you're the one who spread this this cultural element throughout the land and stuff. You can't. You know. There is one theory, it's just a theory, it's like an hypothesis, you know, that this kind of organization came to be because, you know, in the hunter-gatherer society, since women had to give birth, they were kind of not more delicate, but they had to stay in the camp to, you know, breastfeed the children and give birth and so on and so on. You know, so the man would be the guy kind of a hunts and gets food and protects the tribe. Well, you get my fucking point. And then again, it's just an hypothesis because there are records of tribes and societies that had a matriarchal organization, you know. So who can say really where these these roles, the traditional gender role, really came from? You know, we can't be sure. So for centuries now, feminism has been a thing. You know, women who take a look at themselves and the society that they live in, and women who take a good look at themselves and the society that they live in and the role they have in the society and say, hey, I want to change that. You know, you have the suffragette movement was a big deal in that regard, you know, women taking the right to vote and so on. So it's a movement that started a longest time ago, still going strong today, you know, and it's safe to say that it is pretty much evolved, has been evolving with the times. And one thing that this movement really accomplished, and it's kind of the main topic that it's a discussion in here, it's the deconstruction of gender roles, you know, and this is the one thing that permeates all this discussion, and we're gonna get to the male counterpart. But the deconstruction of female gender roles, you know, it's being done essentially by feminists. And you have, it's a gradual process, you know, because first women got the right to vote, then women got the right to, you know, do this and that, and then they could be seen as something other than the housewife and stuff. It's been something that's been done throughout generations now. So the deal is, women today, at least, you know, in the Western world, places where feminism managed to root itself really well. So women today, in these places, are not really seen anymore as, you know, housewife and stuff. They kind of managed to accomplish what the feminist goal was, that, you know, a woman can be whatever the fuck she wants to be, you know. And this really marks the almost complete deconstruction of the female gender role in our society. You know, women today can grow up thinking about, hey, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to do X, I want to do Y, whatever, without having to worry about what they should be, you know. A woman can say, hey, I want to be a fucking neuroscientist or something, and most people are not gonna go up to her and say, no, you have to be a housewife, you need to bear children for your husband, and blah 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 blah. Because, again, this only really applies to places where feminism is an acceptable thing. If you go to like fucking Iran, for example, you're not gonna be able to get off with this kind of shit, you know. But in the United States, in Europe, in some places in Latin America, you know, you can get away with it, you know. And in these places, it's and in these places, feminism has been kind of become a part of female education, you know, because they were no longer teaching young women that they need to be the housewife. And a big part of this educational process, you know, in terms of the more historic context, you know, it's the role model. Because since women have been, you know, fighting for their own rights and stuff for so long, there was a lot of role models that, you know, really encapsulated that, and today feminist education relies a lot on these role models, you know. I got a little list here of women that are usually considered, you know, feminist role models and symbols of, you know, women's struggle for rights and so on and so on. Let's see. Frida Kahlo, everyone knows who she is. Amelia Earhart, also worldwide famous. Mary Curie, you know, two times Nobel Prize winner. Everyone knows who she is. Maya Angelou, well-known poet. I think she's a poet in the United States literature. Mary Shelley wrote fucking Frankenstein. Simone de Beauvoir, famous thinker. I think she was French. The whole suffragette movement, I've already talk about them. For a more modern example, how about Beyonce, you know, who runs, everyone remembers who runs the world, the girls, you know, all the stuff. You know, Malala, Nobel Peace Prize winner, you know, also famous. Michelle Obama also kind of fits in this category. There were a lot of other people that I didn't mention that, you know, someone more versed in feminist history could say like, hey, you're forgetting this and this and that. But the thing is, when a young woman today looks at herself and asks herself, who should I be? There are a lot of role models that say she could be this, she could be that, she could be X, Y, Z. So they grow up and they kind of have a direction of sorts because they have role models to kind of guide them through this process of finding themselves, you know. So a woman can look at herself and say, hey, I want to be an independent person, I want to be in a position of power, I want to be this, I want to be that, you know. You have a lot of role models to really inspire you and say, hey, you can be this, you know. Here's a direction to take your life. That's kind of the whole point I'm going with. So, where do the guys get in this whole part? So today, we don't really have the male counterpart to feminism. There is an argument to be made that you don't really need a men's rights movement and stuff. I'm not going to get on this debate today. That's not the point of this discussion. But the thing is, since we never had this kind of movement for men, we never really made this societal-wide deconstruction of the male traditional gender role, you know. So men grow up today and there's still a degree of the man of the house mentality present in the way that we raise young men. But the thing is, this relationship of man of the house and woman and housewife, it's a dual nature, because let's say, for instance, you know, let's go back to the traditional nuclear family bullshit, and let's say we remove the man from the equation. We got a housewife, she's supposed to take care of the kids, take care of the house, but who is providing, who is protecting, etc., you know. And let's say you got the man of the house, but not the housewife. Well, okay, he's there, he's providing and he's protecting, but who is he providing for and who is he protecting, you know? What happens to the man of the house if he doesn't have a house to man, essentially? And since man never had the meninist movement, or so to speak, we never did this same gender role deconstruction that women did, you know. So the result is that we still raise young men thinking about that he's going to provide for his family and he's going to protect his family. But the thing is, at the same time, we're raising young women to think that they're independent and they should do things by themselves and so on and so forth. You know, striving things outside of this nuclear family perspective. And the end result is that men never had the role models, you know, like women did. We don't have a male Amelia Earhart or a male Mary Curie, you know. We don't have role models of men that say, you know, okay, a man doesn't need to be the protector and the provider, he could be this instead. We don't have that. Try to think for a moment of some male figure, like historical or not, that, you know, serves as a role model that says, you know, this is what a man should be. Personally, the closest thing I can think of when I think of that is James Bond. But that's the thing. James Bond was considered a male role model in the 50s, you know, and this particular character, it's like just a reflection of the way men were in his particular time. And he's not even fucking real, he's a fucking made up character, you know. The thing is, okay, you could see him as a male role model in the 50s, but it's the 50s. He doesn't serve as a male role model in the 2020s or the 2010s or the fucking 2000s. So men today don't really have this role model, you know, this figure this figure that they can look up to and say, yeah, I want to be like that guy. Specifically these days, we have a couple of examples actually. People like Elon Musk, Andrew Tate, Jordan Peterson, you know. These are all men that have a lot of a social media following because other men look at them and say, hey, I want to be like that guy. And it's all because we have kind of like this quest in us to find who should we be, and in that sense men are kind of lost, you know, without direction, without someone to say, hey, you should be like this. Even because, you know, like, seriously, you want to be like Andrew fucking Tate? You wanna launder money for the Romanian mob and traffic people? Think for a fucking second here. Like, all these girls that the fucking Tate brothers appearing in photo shoot, in photograph and shit. How many of them do you think were like fucking sex trafficked or something? Like, you know, everything about that guy is super fucking shady. Do you really want to be like him? Anyway, I fucking digress here for a second, but the thing is, we don't really have these role models. I kind of made that clear, right? And that's where things like the literally me meme come from. These are lonely men who are probably very socially awkward or something, you know, without this guiding role model, and they look at a fictional character who kind of has like the same struggles of, you know, being socially awkward and not having a social life and being kind of a loner, you know, and they find themselves in this character, and they kind of take this character as kind of a direction, you know, kind of like a self-piteous direction. The Sigma male thing, you know, the grind and the hustler, it's kind of the same shit. What is the Sigma male? You know, it's essentially a guy who is very much the man of the house, but the house being anywhere he is at the present time, you know. It's the guy who has absolute control over whatever situation he's in. But even then, in a kind of a detached sense, you know, which is, in terms of this stupid sigma alpha male bullshit, kind of the main difference between the sigma and the alpha, you know. Like the alpha is the guy who dominates everyone, the sigma is the guy who like could dominate everyone, but he doesn't want it, you know. And then you have, you know, this current ecosystem where men are looking for role models in all of the worst places, and that's the whole thing, you know. Men need to question their own gender roles, you know. They need to look at themselves, look to their place in society and say, hey, this is the place I want to be. And this is a process that you're never gonna do if you're too busy thinking about the hustle or the grind or whatever the fuck Elon Musk is tweeting about right now. There are a lot of groups that try to do this deconstruction, but all of them are doing the worst way fucking possible. You know, you got the incel red pill types, you know, who are essentially just misogynists by another name, you know. Like, boo-hoo, woman won't fuck me, so I hate all of them. Oh, bunch of fucking losers. You got the MGTOW, the men going their own way types, you know, who are kind of like the incels, you know, just a bunch of people who can't get laid and have to make their whole personality about it. As you got the sigma male hustler types, which I've already talked about. You got the alpha males, which I've already talked about. You know, the thing is, all these groups are unhealthy as fuck. There's gotta be a better way to find this male role model than looking for it on the Andrew fucking Tate, you know. Does anyone take this guy seriously still? I have no fucking idea. Anyway, comment if you want, subscribe if you want. I don't give a shit. Yeah, that's it. Bye.